What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to a little Jays Talk. So, I saw an interesting article here this morning from Ben Nicholson-Smith talking about 68 players for the Blue Jays to watch ahead of the trade deadline. And I just wanted to go through it quickly. I did a quick read through just to kind of figure out where all the names were and everything and take some screenshots to put up on the screen here, but I haven't really read the names yet. So, I will be going through it with you, and I'm going to touch on the names that I think are interesting, and then we'll probably just skip over the ones that I don't really see any chance or need for, because 68 is a lot of names. So, let me bring up the article here. I'll find where I'm at. All right. So, we start off with the right-handed bats. And as you can see here, Ramon Laureano, Luis Robert Jr., Ahmed Rosario are the likely available ones for the right-handed bats, and this has been identified as a need for the Blue Jays, a platoon. We've got lots of lefties, as we know. Right now, in my opinion, Davis Schneider is running with this job. His OPS is up over 800 now. He's been over 900 since he's been recalled. He's always had a good eye at the plate. He's always been patient and selective, and he's finally making good contact now to go with that, whereas he was making a lot of weak contact earlier in the year. So, if we're not getting a real obvious upgrade to the overall lineup, I don't see a point in making one of these trades, really, because what's the point in trading away assets for somebody who's only marginally better than what we have, if at all? Names on this list that do interest me. I mean, Luis Robert Jr. is always intriguing just because of the upside, because of, you see the fielding, you see the bat speed, all that kind of stuff. The tools are there, but he's been pretty bad now for a long time, and he does have a hefty price tag. So maybe if you could get him for, next to nothing, just take on the contract. All right, I would be interested in that. Ahmed Rosario is a league average bat with defensive versatility, okay speed. He's not really an improvement over any of our regulars right now. You wouldn't really put him at second base over Jimenez. You wouldn't put him in the outfield over any of those guys. He's not taking, shortstop reps, obviously. Ernie Clement is basically a better version of him. I know that's not like a direct comparison, but he just doesn't do it for me, even if he is available. Maybe if we have an injury or something like that between now and then, he's a name to keep an eye on. But I don't really see the fit there. Yandy Diaz, if he's available, is quite intriguing because he's essentially Vladdy Jr. light. I know he's older than Vladdy, but he hits the ball really hard. He is well above league average bat almost every single season. The Rays are cheap, so he may be on the move. But he's one that would do it for me. He could DH, play a bit of first. He can play, a little bit of third base. I think he still plays third base. I know he used to, but he is getting older. Rob Refsnyder is a bit of a lefty masher. He is a fit there. Alex Bregman, I don't think there's any chance at all. Ryan Mountcastle, I don't see. The rest of the names here, Eugenio Suarez is one that we've all been interested in for probably 2 years now. He's one of those ones where I say if it's a clear upgrade, go for it. Suarez, you would find a way to get into the lineup every single day. He'd be your starting third baseman. He'd be DHing, whatever. He's a bat that's a caliber that you would give up prospects for. He's a rental, so he shouldn't cost a ridiculous amount, but the power in that bat and the fact that he can play every single day, he will cost something, and he's one that I would definitely consider going after. We'll move on now to the relief pitching. This is another area I touched on in my last video that I could see them actually throwing more chips into this stack because of who's available in the starting side of things. So if Baltimore is willing to deal with us, Sir Anthony Dominguez, Gregory Soto, for sure interested in swing and miss stuff, power arms. As Ben Nicholson-Smith touches on in this article, he says the swing and miss, the high velo, the deceptive deliveries, those do typically cost a lot more. You give an equal ERA to like a Gregory Soto who throws 100 miles an hour from the left side, or versus a, say, Trevor Richards that we've acquired in the past, or an Adam Simber that we acquired in the past. You don't have to pay as much for the soft tossers with playoff pushes in mind as you do with a power arm. And that's just how the trade market works. That's how front offices work. They prioritize the swing and miss. They prioritize the fastballs. So those are two names that intrigue me. I don't know if the Orioles are willing to trade them in the division without paying a premium. Finnegan from the Nationals is another one. Some saving, closers experience. If he's available, which he should be, the Blue Jays could definitely make a push there, use him as an 8th inning guy, kind of with Jimmy Garcia. And once you get into the dog days of summer, you need extra guys you feel comfortable about closing games, because we won't be doing this, 4 games in 5 days with Jeff Hoffman like we have been. So getting either a Finnegan or a David Bednar from Pittsburgh could come in handy. Those are 2 that I would really prioritize. Dennis Santana's good as well. He's probably going to cost a little bit more, I would have to think. But definitely some interesting names there, some expiring deals, some big contracts. Bednar still paid fairly well for a reliever. The Pirates probably want to get off that pretty bad. He's looked good this year. So there are a couple names there that should be fairly cheap and would definitely fill a need for us. And this is a market where I could definitely see the Blue Jays pushing chips in. On the maybe list, obviously there's the Aroldis Chapman there. There's the Felix Bautista. Those are interesting, intriguing pieces that you would definitely want on your team. Emmanuel Clase is another one. My question there is, how available are they actually? I'm not sure that they're available at all, but if they are, probably not to the Blue Jays without a hefty premium, especially a guy like Felix Bautista. So, yeah, they're a nice thought. I just don't see those ones happening. And we'll flip over to the starting pitchers. I mentioned in my last video, I don't see us going after an ace caliber because I didn't think one would be available, and this kind of backs that up. Sagano's pitched really good this year. I don't know that he's an actual ace. That could just be, being a little bit down on the fact that he just doesn't have the power that some of the other guys have that you would consider aces, even though his results have been quite good. I, again, don't see interdivision trades really going down this trade deadline. I could see a Michael Lorenzen from the Royals just as more of a depth arm, just at the back end of the rotation. Maybe he solidifies your 4 or 5 spot, gives you a little bit of insurance for Scherzer, and if Bowden Francis doesn't come back, if Alek Manoah doesn't come back or look good when he does come back, this is the part of the market where I could see them just plugging another solid guy in. Savali, we just saw him with the White Sox. Hauser's looked really good this year, another one of the Eric Lauer models where he was with the Brewers, had some success, kind of had a lull in his career, and he's rebounding now when giving an opportunity with the White Sox. So Hauser's a guy where you could just try to solidify that back end. These are guys that get you to the playoffs, but they don't necessarily play a huge role once you're there. Luis Severino, I don't know about that. He's owed a lot of money, 3 years, $67 million. That's a lot of money. He's very upset in Sacramento right now. He does not like playing for that franchise. He's made that known, so he's likely to get moved, I would say, but that is an awfully big contract to try to take on. Maybe the Blue Jays can flex some muscle there and get him for, basically just take on the contract and not really have to give anything up. Jeffrey Springs is another guy I like. He's pitched in the East before. He was with the Rays. But again, these aren't real needle movers in terms of playoffs. Sandy Alcantara would be. I question how available he is, especially with the Marlins doing this rally. Do they really want to sell off all of their good players again and start from scratch from, if they move on from him and Edward Cabrera and that? At some point in time, the Marlins are going to have to try to be good, and it feels like they're close enough to building something there that they might hold on to these guys and maybe even just let Alcantara dominate down the stretch and flip him in the off season, where he'll have just as much value, maybe even more, if he finishes looking like his Cy Young form. Cal Quantrill's a guy, a number 5 starter, whatever. He's had an up and down career, solid, good experience. Again, not a needle mover. Mitch Keller, Heaney, and Falter are interesting guys as well as Cal Freeland. Cal Freeland doesn't really excite me, but hey, he's a name everyone recognizes. He's got experience. He's solid. Keller and Heaney I could see being our actual target on this list. They've been rumored a lot, especially Mitch Keller, and that is a way I could see us going with the Pirates. We've shown a need for Bednar. We've been rumored with Bednar for a long time, so I could see a 2-for-1 there where a Mitch Keller and Bednar as part of a bigger deal. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone, and the Diamondbacks are another team that looks like that could possibly happen if a Merrill Kelly, if a Zach Gallen is looking good in the remainder of July here. You go after maybe a Suarez and a starting pitcher from them, so you can kind of do 2 different trades there where you kill 2 birds with 1 stone in both instances. That's something to keep an eye on. But ultimately I see the Pirates as being one of the main targets here, and maybe an Adrian Hauser from the White Sox as being the most realistic in my mind. Going through the rest of the available guys, there are guys there. Seth Lugo's good. Tyler Molly's good. I question how available some of these guys are or how much of an upgrade they are. Merrill Kelly, as I mentioned, definitely intrigues me. And Eduardo Rodriguez, depends what version you're getting. But yeah, definitely some names to keep an eye on there. And if you haven't read the article yet, be sure to click on it. I will leave the link in the description below just to send some traffic over that way. I appreciate Ben Nicholson-Smith taking his time to do this sort of thing, putting names on our radar to talk about, gives us something to kind of dive into ourselves and do some research on. So yeah, a handful of names there for sure that I'm interested in to varying degrees. I think on the starting pitching side of things, it's more about shoring up the back end of the rotation and just getting to the playoffs, whereas the bullpen is where we could really make a push to get another flamethrower or another really good closer level, back end arm. And in the playoffs, we've seen how well that plays. We've seen Kansas City win a championship that way. We've seen how far it took the Guardians last year with a dominant bullpen. So I could definitely see us focusing there. And then on the hitting side of things, barring an injury between now and then, I don't see them playing in the margins there. But if they could acquire a Suarez or somebody like that, I would definitely be intrigued by that. And I think that that's the way they would obviously opt to go. So anyways, that's just my thoughts on this article. I found it it was a good read. I'm going to be reading through it here again, reading Ben Nicholson-Smith's comments on it once I let you guys go here. So be sure to pop over there and read it, all right? We'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one.